Hello all, welcome to DevOps Techie channel. So in this channel, mainly we are concentrating on cloud DevOps related content, right? So from last few months, so we are discussing on weekly basis, monthly basis. So I'm sharing my practical real-time project knowledge with you guys and sharing the issues and how to prepare for the interviews and how to crack the interview, how to face the scenario-based situations in the interview. So today I come up with the concept level discussion, guys. So today I come up with Kubernetes topics which you can revise or before the interview, or which you can prepare for the interview. So, as part of my discussion, as part of my experience, as part of my project knowledge in the current company, so I come up with the list of the concepts which you can prepare in the Kubernetes. So, if you are preparing for cloud DevOps role, then these can you can expect. Even if you are trying for SRE also, the most in detail scenario based in each concept, you need to prepare more. So if you're working in the company currently, if you are a platform guy, then you are very much well versed with these topics. If you are a platform guy doing troubleshooting on the concepts of pod level, node level, application level, environment setup, so you are very much familiar with these words, hope so. So coming to topic, first, while you are starting Kubernetes or revising the Kubernetes concepts before the interview, then must and should you need to know about Kubernetes architecture completely. What is the data plane? What is control plane? What are the components in each thing? How those components are like communicating, like what is scheduler doing, what is the control manager doing, what is the etcd, what is the EPS server, how these are communicating with the kube proxy or kubelet or container review, how it's working internal. So each thing, for suppose if you applied kubectl apply hyphen deployment yaml, means what's happening in the background on this architecture, that you need to know end to end. And what is the labels and selectors? If you are writing any YAML files, manifest YAML files, then how the identification will happen? Is it through labels or selectors? How we are giving these labels and selectors in the YAML files, that you need to understand. Simply, what is the pod? Even if you are a pro also, if you didn't explain pod exactly, if you don't know a difference between container, virtualization, pod, if you didn't differentiated between these things completely, then it's not a complete picture, right, for the Kubernetes. So a simple pod also, you need to know how is it different from a container. And there are a couple of deployment strategies also there, right, that you need to know: blue green deployment and canary deployment. You need to know rolling update, rolling back, you need to know. And difference between deployment, what is, how, in which situation we are using StatefulSet and why we are using this DaemonSet. Are we maintaining pod, each pod for each node? But what is the purpose? Why we are maintaining like that? Replica set. If pod is dying, it's a short living object. Is it? It's creating new pod, right? It's a self-healing, auto-scaling properties, as these are advantages of Kubernetes. How this replica sector is maintaining properly, on which calculation this replica set working, is this replica set working is completely with the HPA. How HPA is working, what is the calculation? If we are maintaining threshold level with 80%, then how it's picking after 80% to increase the pod, how it's scaling in, scale out, how it's happening. What is that formula, how it's depending on the metric server, how the metric server will collect all the metrics of that particular application in from the pod level. So you need to be prepared in detail. It's a link, right? If there are maintaining manifest YAML label selectors, in the label selector, for suppose you are writing for deployments, in the deployment default you have this replica set maintaining, right? How this replica set you are maintaining? HPA, horizontal pod autoscaler there, so its threshold is there. It's dependent again on metric server, how metric server is installing in the cluster level or pod level or node level, how it's happening actually, how it's collecting the metrics, that you need to know. If we are installing any packages, are we using any Helm chart? So what is the purpose of Helm chart? How we are installing from this Helm chart? Where we are maintaining exactly all the packages in Helm, that you need to understand. And Ingress Controller, so instead of maintaining each LB, we are maintaining Ingress site. So how this have working Ingress Controller? What is the Ingress resource? On which basis it working? For suppose for HP it's working on metric server, we have some calculation, right? So like that you need to know the Ingress Controller in detail as well. Like blue green deployment, why we are maintaining two identical environments? Are we don't do with a single environment? If yes, how it will be? If it's a Canary deployment, if we are telling like certain percentage of users, how that certain percentage of users will be uh, routing to another environment? For suppose if it's a blue version, green version, you are routing, right? So how the segregation of happening, that you need to understand. Is the Are you routing the service level, are you changing the labels? So everything you need to understand there. And then what is the headless service in the Kubernetes? This concept also you need to understand more. And Configmap and Secret, how we are hiding the sensitive information, how we are non-sensitive information, how we are returning in the config map. So these things you need to know end to end. Coming to PVPVC, if pod is short living object, then for suppose if there is a data in pod, then after creating the new pod, how we are getting the same information? Is there any thing attaching to the pod, that you need to understand. And metric server is completely working with HPA, right? So how this metric server is working, but you will cover this metric server in the HPA itself, no problem. And one of the you can mark it as star, because this the Kubernetes cluster version upgradation process. Some projects what they will do is like in the Bitbucket or Git they will maintain one cluster YAML, so they will commit the new version in the Bitbucket so that the pipeline will auto trigger and complete the cluster upgradation process if it's a EKS cluster. Um like this some of the companies will follow, but some of the companies projects will follow like they do manual process. Are they doing any cordon, or doing anything draining of the nodes? So this entire process there is some procedure, right guys? So if you don't know, also just go up with your AI assisted copilot or Claude, anything, ChatGPT, so that you will get entire steps as well. If you don't know the step clearly, ask the ChatGPT itself, right? Just elaborate me more. So just you need to understand cluster version upgradation as well. So these are the some errors which you will see in your daily basis for the platform issues, like Crashloop, backoff error, keep on pod is getting restarted, unable to pull the image from the repo. In some projects they will maintain their own repo, like Harbor repo in my earlier project. Current project we are using ECR in the cloud. So if it's unable to get the image, is it issue with the storage, or it is a issue with the password, or is it whatever the issue? So like you need to understand some of the issues in the Kubernetes as well, out of memory issue. Sometimes the issues simply with the code as well. Code, if you are a code level access cache, it's unable to clear the cache, so then also it will show out of memory. Like how to troubleshoot each thing on this basis, while you are getting these errors, you need to troubleshoot with the Kubernetes commands. So you need to know about the most used Kubernetes commands. These I mentioned in my YouTube channel. If you don't know, subscribe this channel and go to my playlist, Kubernetes playlist, so that you will find the most used Kubernetes commands which are useful for troubleshooting all these errors. And while you are accessing the cloud part for your application deployed in pod, you need to access some of the resources from S3. Then your pod needs to have access that particular cloud resource, right? Then these service accounts come into picture. So you need to know about service account, how the service account assuming the role of that particular cloud resource, and what are the pod phases in Kubernetes. If you are typing kubectl apply it some deployment YAML, then it's creating right pod. It will show in some initializing, running, like it will show the some phases while creating the pod, right? So that phases also you need to know. And this one also I got in one of my interview, like what is the readiness probe, liveness probe, startup probe. Everyone know about readiness probe, liveness probe, but startup probe also you need to know. So is it serving the traffic, or is the pod itself is live or not? Can I that you need to test, right, for your application. So when these things are coming into picture, at which time, that you need to understand each probe and their differences as well. And first, suppose if you are deploying any new thing, or your applications no need to have any downtime, means you need to have zero downtime. Then how you will follow on how you are maintaining zero downtime? How if something is happening wrong to your applications, so then how you will roll back to the previous versions? Are you using which strategy? That you will understand. Simply I will tell kubectl under deployment, it's not work, right? Upon the background of that particular command what you are using, that you need to know. And sometimes you face this issue like Crashloop image OVM, you need to have this runtime container error as well. So know these things from ChatGPT itself, guys. If you're not get a chance to work on platform related, Kubernetes related, then take help of your colleagues, any YouTube channels you will prefer, or you will just take help of ChatGPT as well. So nowadays everything is in your plate only if you are using correctly the AI things. So the basic advantages of Kubernetes mostly is like self-healing, auto-scaling, load balancing, like right, like how these are exactly working, how this auto-scaling is working. We are using HPS, or like that auto-scaling working, how self-healing working. As pod is a short-living object, how it's getting new pod. If the currently we have two pods, if upon the business requirement, business traffic spikes, it needs to increase two more pods, 2 plus 2 4. How this scaling is happening, that you need to understand. So you need to know difference between Docker and Kubernetes. Docker will also have containers, but how we are using these containers as pods in Kubernetes, that you need to understand. What are the custom resources in Kubernetes? What are the network latency in Kubernetes? How Kubernetes handles desired versus current state? This concept also you can recall, guys. This is also an important topic, I can tell from my experience of previous interview things. So how would you implement network isolation between two teams using the same cluster? We are not for one project we are using one cluster, for one project we are using another cluster, for each project we are using different clusters, not right. So in real-time projects, so in one cluster, how the project segregations will happen, what are the type of containers? Simple things will make more complicated things, right? So type of containers you need to know, what is the sidecar container and what is the init container. So are you making any backup for your pod, then which container? Or if for suppose backend application needs to wait up until the DB is coming up, then only it will start the applications. If the application started but still DB is not up, database is not up, not working as expected, then it's issue with the application, right? So we are maintaining init containers, that after the DB is upping we are starting the applications. For the purpose we are using this init containers. So you need to understand where we are writing this init containers, how we are maintaining, and why pod is in pending state. Sometimes pod will go to the pending running state. What is the purpose? Is the scheduler is unable to schedule on the worker nodes? Is the worker nodes available? If not available, what is the reason? How to troubleshoot? So these in-depth knowledge you need to understand, and Kubernetes resources as well. And you definitely practice few of the manifest YAML files for deployment, StatefulSet, HPA. So for this you write your own notes or in notepad for few of the YAML files for the practice. If you didn't get a chance to work in your project, write down some YAML files as well before going to interview. And what are the services? As we are using cluster IP, what is the purpose? It's of what is the node port purpose? Do some scenarios with these services as well. Write one YAML file and make sure all the environment setup and try with these services, cluster IP, node port and load balancer. Instead of load balancer, what we are using, like what is the CNI plugin? This will come under the network topic, right? So which type of CNI plugin you are using in this project, how you are installing that CNI plugin to your cluster, and that you need to understand more. And there are few concepts as well: pod affinity, node affinity, pod anti affinity. So these are the concept which I was telling from my experience, knowledge and real-time project, guys. Most of the times these will perfectly enough. I make sure that 99% these are enough. My time is 1 or 2, I am not sure. But if you are preparing for cloud DevOps engineer role or SRE role, also the platform related Kubernetes thing, these are the concepts, so they will be enough. So hope this video is useful for you guys. If you need any more topic in the Kubernetes particularly, I have created one playlist for my channel, so do subscribe and get it notified while I uploaded the content in my channel. Thank you everyone.